Oh, not that kind of football.
Oh, futbol.
Yeah, it's the soccer episode.
Yay!
You did so good.
Oops.
Anywho, we had two hilarious improvisers as our guests. Eleanor Lewis returned, as well as Andrew Joelson. And I learned about soccer in a pre-Ted Lasso life. Oh, how young we all were.
This was an audio-only episode, podcast episode, so take a listen, fold some laundry, do some dishes.
And your life will be better for having heard it. Yay! Welcome to Don't Mind If I Don't. I'm your host, Aaron Gold. This is the show where I don't like things, and fans and experts come on and convince me why I am wrong, so maybe I get some culture in my goddamn life. Today we're talking about sports, because the last, 30 episodes or so have all been really goddamn nerdy. So let's expand a little bit. First up, we have not only a repeat guest, but the quickest repeat guest. There might be like 1 to 0 episodes in between your last appearance.
My refractory period is totally negligible.
Lifelong soccer fan and player, as well as an improviser for the often mentioned Sexy Baby at the Magnet Theater. Eleanor Lewis is back with us.
Hi, Aaron. Thanks for having me.
Hey, Lenore.
That's me.
Do you go by Lenore ever?
No.
All right,
not
well, I'll
ever.
stop. Also joining us is lifelong soccer fan that played in the top amateur league in Connecticut and an improviser for Supermodel UN at the Tank. Andrew Joelson is here.
Hey, Aaron, how are you?
I'm doing good. How about you?
I'm doing okay.
There's always, whenever I ask somebody how they're doing, that always just feels so awkward for me on this podcast. Because it almost sounds like we haven't been talking for the last half hour or so before we started recording.
That's true. I did make it awkward to start off.
Yeah. Well, okay. Everything that comes through this show gets rated on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being total ambivalence, 10 being blood-curdling hatred. Soccer, the sport of feet, clocks in at a solid 5.
Ooh.
Right.
It's fucking boring. It's just goddamn boring. And my problem with soccer is very similar to my problem with boxing. You have 2 other great things you could use on your body. Use them. Stop being a dick. So, I feel like, this is some of the least amount of notes I've had for an episode. I feel like all of my arguments are going to be the same arguments you probably have heard for why people don't like soccer. So, guys, why do you like soccer?
Cool. I'll field that question, Aaron.
Oh, I get it. Field.
Yeah.
Soccer pun. Good.
So yeah, I started playing soccer in I played soccer as a little kid because I grew up in the 90s and that was really popular to do. I grew up in the suburbs, so kids played soccer. So I started playing and I kept playing in middle school and high school, and I started watching soccer because I got really into it and I thought it was just a really fun game to play. And then on top of that, I have my little brother is 5.5 years younger than I am. And we did not get along at all for the first 10 years of his life. Because, he was sick all the time. He had asthma. He was a kind of a high maintenance kid. You had to work hard to keep him from drowning and stuff like that. But when he was around 10 and I was in middle school, he started watching soccer as well. So we would watch soccer together. And so that was the first thing that we connected over and had a peaceable relationship around. And to this day, when he's at college right now, but when he is home, we'll carve out time to go watch a game. I'll come up to my parents' house and we'll make time to watch a game together, and if we're watching games separately, we'll text during it. So it's one of the things that has brought me the closest to my brother, and we get along really well now. I'm very close to him. So
you've got an intimate relationship with soccer. It I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it fixed your family.
Yeah, it mended a broken home, and
wow.
it just smoothed over an awkward age gap, but. So I have that personal connection to it. And then on top of that, I think the game is just it's engaging for me to watch. And there's this thing about soccer where it's both just sweepingly global and very intimately personal, where you have these tiny local sort of love affairs with local teams, and then teams which encompass a nation and battle on a global scale. And there's like all of the drama that you would expect with both of those things tied up in the game, which is awesome.
Remind me later, because we do have to talk about like how soccer teams are divided, because that has confused me, and I don't know if it should. Like, I watched Green Street Hooligans, and I have nothing but questions. But more on that later. Wait, was that a rugby movie? No, that was soccer.
That was soccer, yeah.
All right, I did good. All right. Andrew, why do you like soccer?
For a lot of the same reasons that Eleanor mentioned. I also played...
You are bonded with her brother?
Yes. John Lewis is a popular kid.
Well, he was once he started watching soccer. It was something that I've done my entire life and something I really enjoy. And my community connection to it is more like personal. Like, I have groups of friends and people that I see and hang out with who I connect with because we played together for so long. I mean, when you play on a team in any team sport, you kind of get really close to the people that you're with and have shared experiences, the shared heartbreak. It's really a big thing to go through failures and success together with people at the same time on a big scale like that. And especially when you're growing up, it's sort of something that isn't always easy to come by at that level. It's
that kind
of
camaraderie.
Yeah, that kind of camaraderie and teamwork. Yeah. And
by the way, if it sounds like we're at a concert, because like I don't generally point out the background noise, but right now it's pretty big. We are recording at an improv theater training center.
They're training real hard.
Yeah. We're in hi, I'm Grant. We're in
our producer Grant. Grant Goldberg, ladies and gentlemen, applaud for him.
Thank you. I work hard.
He works hard, and I pay him nothing. So
we're in Koreatown in Manhattan, and there's a protest going on. I think for the Sewol Ferry.
Wait, really?
They do that like once a month.
I walked right by it. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, well, they hadn't started yet. I just kind of saw the crowds gathering.
Glad they waited until we started recording.
So it's for a good cause,
Oh, then I feel bad about being an asshole.
No. Just there's not like a soccer game going on. That would be.
We are recording on location at the FIFA World Cup.
By the way, what does FIFA mean? Because I see that with the video games, and I know it's a championship. What does FIFA stand for?
FIFA is the global governing body for soccer.
Right.
It stands for it's like Spanish or French or something. It's like Federación Internacional.
The Football Association.
Yeah,
okay. So they just give up on the other languages halfway through.
Yeah, just like English.
Switch back to God's English.
Football Association, depends on how you say it.
It's
add a couple of S's.
Federación Internacional de Futbol Association.
Yeah, because association, the full name of soccer that soccer comes from is association football.
Wow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
so like...
why do we call... do we have...
Because the full name for American football is gridiron football. We go by football for gridiron and soccer for association. Rugby football is the full name for rugby. They all have a common lineage dating back to like the early 1800s.
Really?
I'm nodding
really.
like I know this information, but that's mostly news to me.
Yeah. They all have...
that's really cool.
They all have a genealogical background in basically a mob game that got popular in England. In the early days, like the late 1700s, early 1800s, soccer was a riot, basically. It was like...
Again, I've seen Green Street Hooligans. I think it still is.
Yeah. Like the game itself, too, is just this huge... It was like a battle that had a ball loosely involved in it. So it like grew in popularity, and like little towns and cities would come up with their teams, and they would want to play each other, but they would run into these problems where everybody sort of had these disagreements about what the rules were, and like do you, for example, use your hands? Do you pass forwards, or can you not pass forwards? You have to pass backwards. So a bunch of people...
Can I tackle that guy?
Am I allowed to hurt
Yeah,
him?
exactly.
Yeah.
Can you punch? And so
Should he wear a helmet?
Exactly.
Yeah.
A bunch of people got together in Cambridge and codified the rules for association football. And they laid them down. You can't use your hands or arms, pass with the feet. The goalkeeper can use their hands. The game lasts this long. The field is this dimension. And that's how the rules were set forth. From that point forward, we had association football.
Now, is part of the appeal of soccer just the carnage? Also, am I giving too much credence to the level of carnage in soccer? Is there many, many games that go by without carnage?
Yeah, there's plenty of games that go by without carnage.
All right, well, is it like NASCAR where you're not really watching for that, you're watching for someone to crash?
No, I think that's thing that's really nice about the sport is that there's definitely different ways to play in different styles, and if you watch different teams from different places, they exemplify that. So some styles are big, strong, very brutal, and they tend to focus on trying to win balls in the air and trying to establish
Win
current
balls in the
possession.
air?
Yeah, so for a very common way to score a goal is to have the ball out very wide on the field or the pitch. I feel comfortable saying that.
I need more. You just introduced two terms that I didn't know to explain one term that I
Pitch
didn't
means
know.
field, but the idea is just having the ball extremely wide, so as far away from the goal you can, as you can on the outside. And the idea is to kick the ball towards the middle in the air, towards a teammate who's coming in, and to time it in a way that the teammate can score with just his head. And not have to, and that way you don't have to worry about, if he's covered very tightly, it gives you just a couple, you don't need that much room to get that done.
And it does.
So,
it does. I imagine you're less prepared for a headshot than for one with feet.
Yeah, it gives the...
As I said it out loud, it sounded like bullshit, but in my head, it made a lot of sense.
It's completely true.
Okay.
It's like it's a really challenging thing to pull off, to score off of a header that way, because the ball is coming in really fast and you have to apply a lot of force to redirect it to where you want to go. But because it's going so fast, if you can do it, the goalkeeper has almost no time to react to what's happening. So, a team that's like very big and physical and can win balls in the air has a huge advantage if they can, accomplish what Andrew was talking about, get in a cross and have somebody just head it home.
So coordination, like across people. How many people on a soccer team on a field at once?
There's 11 people who play at a time,
people.
including the goalie.
Including goalie.
Per
Okay.
team. So,
All right. Well, we... My one of the bigger issues, and like this is all sports bore me. I get it because like I'm rabid about like nerdy shit and comic books and movies, so I get why I'm not ever one person going like, oh, you having fun with your sports ball, dick? Like I get it. It's something to get excited about. But as far as all the popular sports, at least in America, go, soccer has one of the slowest rates to scoring, correct? So like an average game, and they last how long? 3 hours?
Yeah, subjectively 5 hours, but in real time 90 minutes. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding around.
Okay, well I'm a blank slate here. So
yeah, if you're bored, then it'll feel longer. But it's a 90-minute game. If there's a tie at the end, it can go into overtime, depending. But it's
on the competition.
Yeah,
and what's really nice about it is that it's almost always a 2-hour production from start to end. For TV purposes, you're always going to be getting their 2-hour slots, which is really nice when you're watching other sports, especially in the U.S. The clock stops constantly. You never know how many timeouts are going to be taken, whether it's a blowout or not. Depends. It will determine how long the game takes. Baseball games are insane. Yeah, it's ridiculous. It's incredibly slow moving. So it's actually one thing I really like about football, soccer from a general point of view.
You can say football. I'll get it. Yeah.
Snob.
From a general point of view, is that it's a known period of time that you're committing to this event, as opposed to other events where it's really like completely. Football I think is almost 3 hours every game now. So, and baseball is too. So,
Are you guys like also fans of other sports, or are you guys more soccer fans than anything else? Like, why? How does soccer clock in to other sports for you both?
Soccer is pretty much the only sport that I'll watch on TV.
Why then? Because of this bond with your brother, or?
Well, no, it's because it's like I'm like very familiar with it. So when I'm watching it, even though I think like one of the biggest complaints with soccer is that the field is too big and people don't score enough. But I think that. That
second one I have, but I don't know about how big the field is. It like compared to a football field?
It's bigger. A professional soccer field is bigger than a professional football field. It's wider, and a lot of the beauty of the play happens in midfield, and it happens with this like cooperative teamwork and this sort of like slow, dramatic build. I think the closest analog to soccer is hockey, which is very similar, except that it's basically, it's a team of people coordinating to use an arcane tool to get an object into a net. And
arcane?
Well, yeah, Aaron's complaining about it.
Yeah, man. You gotta switch to rollerblade.
But yeah, in hockey, people also don't score that much. But it's because of, different restrictions. I think that this type of game, this like field spanning, high coordination, like physical game is going to necessarily have a pretty low rate of scoring, and the excitement isn't going to be in watching the score go up, but in the dance that takes place in midfield.
Huh. It's almost like fencing in a way. But as I say it out loud, I'm like, no, not like fencing.
It's the way we want all fencing to be majestic and epic and take forever and have really big battles, but it doesn't happen that
And
way.
3
It's usually
hours
quick
long.
points.
Yeah.
I mean, that's something I really like about soccer above other sports as well, is that, so football, U.S. football is very like, here's a play, there's a situation, the coach is making a decision, what's going to happen, we practice it, it's going to be exactly like that. A sport like hockey is like a lot of quick reactions, doing what you can. The players are only on the ice for a minute at a time, and they switch like constantly, so it's very quick. In soccer, you get to watch that build up from the beginning, so you can see when the ball changes from one side of the field to another and see the empty space that's available. And it doesn't take too much watching to really to get that and to see that. So even though it feels slow when you're watching the ball go around, you can start to get excited to see the spaces available, that they're going to have an opportunity, that there's going to be a chance, to see that they're trying new things, that players are in different positions, and it's really really well coordinated. Like the coaching stuff is like really interesting to me and a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's like super tactical.
Right. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
I feel like there's only so much of that explanation we can do for me to understand it. So you guys we had a big old email thread going, and you guys both sent a bunch of clips to me. So is there a clip we can watch right now of the 5 that you guys sent that encompasses this?
The idea of like full field play and like
Or you know what, just anything.
cool, yeah. I mean, there's one thing that I do want to say before that, which
Sure.
is that I think one of the problems that people have who are just getting into soccer for the first time watching it on TV is that the screen only shows part of the field at once because it's really big.
Yeah. How big is it?
So
Because you said bigger than...
So 100. So it uses the end zones as in play for football, and it's a little wider by about 6 yards. So it's like the same length of a football field, 120 yards if you include the end zones,
and
then
wider,
and then a little bit wider.
All right. Okay.
But yeah, if you know the game and have played the game, I think you have a better ability to fill in what you can't see.
Right.
So you're like, I can see 8 people on my screen right now. You're not necessarily sitting there doing this accounting to yourself, but you instinctively can grasp, oh man, they only have like 2 people on defense right now. If they fuck up this attack, if they don't score right now, they are super open for a counter. Right. And you can know, you're going to expect that, especially if you know you're watching a team that's like sharp on the counter attack.
And that's what gets really exciting too. So when something like that happens, I mean, it is a low-scoring game, so it's an opportunity, and it's a really important opportunity to make sure that you take advantage of what's given to you. And the best teams can do it consistently, and other teams and other leagues and wherever you're watching, if they don't score, that could be the difference between winning or losing. And it's one little tiny mistake, as opposed to even though it's a big, grand, slow, relatively slow-moving game, it comes down to these individual talent and skill moments at the time that it matters the most, which is like really like, oh, it has to be right now. Oh, they got the counterattack. They're finally doing it. They finally have the ball. Oh, come on, this is it. And it can really get into the moment that's happening.
Yeah, there's a dig that I like to take at baseball, which is that baseball is a baseball simulator corrupted by human error, which is that if everybody
there are like robots listening to this laughing their ass off at that.
Baseball you can look at by the numbers and understand a lot of what's going on, and most of things that happen in terms of like scoring are people underperforming where you thought they should. In soccer, the opposite tends to happen. The breakthrough moments come sometimes from error, but also from these flashes of ingenuity, of locating the gaps in your opponent's armor, which appear organically over the course of this midfield play.
Right. Is this how Pele got famous for that backflip kick thing? And that's the extent of my soccer knowledge.
Pele got famous because he's awesome.
Okay.
He's
Yeah, because he did everything very well.
Is that where
cool.
that kick got famous?
Did he invent the bicycle kick?
I don't. That's not. That would be news to me. If
Is
it's
that
true.
the bicycle kick?
Yeah,
I'm going to be
yeah.
honest with you. Here's what I know about Pele's backflip kick. The pro wrestler AJ Styles doing that backflip kick, and they call it the Pele. That's how I know that.
That's fair.
That makes sense to me. He's the most
Okay.
famous soccer player at the time.
Yeah, it's that kick I think is actually a really good example of this type of ingenuity. I don't believe that Pele invented it, but it's the thing of like the ball is high up. I would have to hit this with my head. That's hard. I'm going to try and hit it with my feet. And to do that, I must do a backflip. Yep. And then you just do it. And then it becomes part of the game. It becomes a standing ovation moment, you know?
And that kind of stuff happens, like where there's where something incredible happens, then people try to work and focus it and try to have it become a regular way of playing.
Oh, yeah,
a tool chest instead of an accident.
Wayne Rooney did a back heel in a game like 3 years ago, and it has not gone out of style ever since.
Yes, people are just trying to replicate it.
And they just can't do it. It's very silly sometimes.
Can he do it?
What was that?
Can he do it like regularly?
No, it's not a regular thing. That's what she was talking about. It's
No, I know that other people couldn't, but could he do it again?
No, the ingenuity of it happened for a specific place or location of the ball, where the defense was, the time and the moment. It was the first thing that he reacted and did, and it worked. So he's just kind of reacting in the moment to make things happen.
Was that one of the clips you guys sent me?
It was not. The Wayne Rooney goal I sent you actually is...
That's actually a good illustration of the what we're talking about, like a physical player nodding a ball into the back of the net. It's like that Rooney goal.
Should we do that Wayne Rooney 250th goal?
That's a different goal entirely.
All right. Which one should we watch?
Yeah.
Because I don't know. All these just look like words and links to me.
I think mostly the stuff that we sent has to do with the emotion behind the game and why it's exciting to watch, and the drama that can happen within a season, a team, a game, and what that has to do with how much we enjoy it. So I think that's a bigger point.
Bitch. Let's do this.
Okay.
Yeah. So I sent you 2 recaps, both from the 2011 Women's World Cup, both U.S. women's national team games. And part of the reason that I did that is because the U.S. women's national team is one of the most ridiculously dominant sports franchises that has ever existed.
Oh, shit.
They're like, they're the Serena Williams of soccer. It's crazy.
I feel so like an asshole right now because I don't give a fuck about sports. But already, like my instinct when you say that is like, yeah, USA, number one.
Yes, it's true. Well, I mean, if we want to get very, very slightly sidetracked for this,
let's do it.
Yes. So one of the things about soccer is if you're watching it and you're watching the U.S. men's national team, you're in for a lot of heartbreak and some really bad times because they are notoriously fucking terrible. And it's not to say that they're like the worst team in the world, but considering the size of the United States and the amount of money that we have to throw at things, they should be better.
They consistently underperform too, which is the most frustrating part, is that they finally look like they're going to be doing something and do well, and then they find a way to undercut you.
And I'm assuming that the national team is comprised of the best players from all the other teams.
Yeah, the best people who play soccer in the United States. But in the United States, we have these other sports. We have football and we have basketball. And all of our top athletes basically get funneled into those two for men.
Yeah.
For women.
And then baseball is third, I'm assuming.
Yeah, for the weirdos, they can play baseball. But for women, in high school and in college, the most competitive, physical, and dominant sport that you can play is soccer. So America's top talent for team sports goes into soccer for women. And that's why our women's national team is outrageous. Yep. So they have this long legacy of being a really great team. In this 2011 World Cup, they're coming into it off of the heels of losing the World Cup in the previous one for the first time in a really long time. So they're in this for redemption. They really want to get that title back. They know they deserve it. And so the first clip that I sent you, U.S. women's national team versus Brazil, is this extremely dramatic, up and down battle.
And it's a really great example of the clash of styles as well. The Brazilian women's team has a really good central...
Yeah!
Let's do it. Has a really good central midfield and ball control, so they tend to distribute out of the back, and the U.S. is really powerful and fast and tries to kind of power its way through. So it's really...
I'm going to turn this down just a little bit there.
Right. So also, this is a really great thing that happens in soccer, which is that when they walk out on the field, they're escorted by little children.
What? Who are these little children?
They're just like kids. I don't know where they get them, but
which one? Wait, is America yellow or is America?
All right, America's playing in the dark blue there. They just scored. The woman who just scored is Abby Wambach, who is a great player. She's like 5'11". She's super talented. She's also an out lesbian and like made out with her girlfriend at the end of the Olympics, like publicly, which was a very heartwarming moment for a lot of people. But so that's Hope Solo, the U.S. women's national goalkeeper, who turned out to be a spousal abuser.
Oh,
The opposite.
So what's about to happen is that there was just a foul. So a United States player fouled somebody as a defensive move, and was awarded. Brazil was awarded this penalty kick because of that, because it was a bad infraction. And Hope Solo saved it, which is almost impossible. That never happens.
Like 70% of the time, those score at least.
with a penalty kick. Wow. Why does she get a yellow card if she blocked it?
And you can see, so this was that player just at the top of the box encroached just a little bit before the kick was taken, which is illegal.
Wait,
And
how
then
do you
they
mean?
scored?
Oh.
So in other words, they got a chance to redo the penalty kick because of a very minor mistake that doesn't happen very often.
It'd be
So-
like getting arrested for jaywalking.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so it's an amazing thing happened where she saved the goal, but because of this one little mistake, they got to redo it and they scored, which is very it's very emotional roller coaster.
Yeah, that sounds like bullshit.
Yeah, it
It
was.
makes you feel that way.
Yeah, and Solo protested so vociferously she got carded. And this, I think, this is still during regular time in the game. Yeah. So then Brazil is now on top. How fortunes have changed. And at this point, it won't show it in the highlights, but Brazil started stalling a lot. Which is to say, when they made substitutions, they didn't run on and off the field, they walked on and off. So they were really running down the clock. This is like in the last seconds. There it is.
Wow, that was like from a third of the field away.
That's one of the most insane passes I've ever seen in my life. It's out of control how crazy this goal is.
That's the header
And
we
she
were talking
headbutted.
about.
Yep. You see like how like physical and tall and like assertive you have to be to score a goal like that, and how precise you have to be on the pass.
It saves the tournament too, that play.
So because of that, the game has gone into a tie and will be settled by penalty kicks. So they just trade off taking penalty kicks until somebody does best out of 5.
Wow.
Which means that the character arc of Hope Solo is that she gets to redeem herself for the PK from earlier.
Penalty kick.
Yeah, penalty kick.
You say PK, and I think of Ness from Earthbound.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
And his fire.
I also think that, to be totally honest.
All right, good. We've connected there.
And she saves it. She does it again. She does this. She does a miracle several times in this game. She's a terrible person, but boy, is this cool.
And the thing that's kind of hard to...
This is the moment.
Well,
Alex Krieger.
wait a moment.
If she scores this, the USA head for the semi-finals and knock out Brazil. Semi-finals.
And there it is.
Right, and what's so exciting about it is that happens over the course of 2 hours, and for part of it, you think you're winning. For part of it, you're 100% sure it's over. You're going home. You're not going to win. Your team's not going to get to play in the next game, the next couple of days. And then there's chance and there's hope, and when you get to the end there, it's just a nail biter. It can go either way with the PKs, and as a U.S. fan, you're just happy to be there because they scored so late. But as a Brazil fan, you're devastated because they had the game won until the last 2 minutes of the game. It was there. They had it.
Yeah, but
They had it yanked out from underneath them.
The story of it does kind of side with the U.S. In that Beatty McHusband blocked that one impossible shot.
Yeah,
and like, oh, look at me bragging on her. I'm getting into it, guys.
Yeah, right? But like,
Alright.
yeah, the emotional highs and lows of that game
Right.
for me, I cried at the end of that game watching it over the course of 2 hours, like 90 minutes plus 30 minutes of overtime plus all the penalty kicks, and then for the USA to finally pull it out in the end with some like very sketchy officiating, some pretty dirty play by Brazil. And for them to get to the World Cup final where they're just going for redemption, this much younger team, a more inexperienced team than they've had in the past, and they're there. They did it. They pulled it off. They got the entire country behind them. They have all of this pride going into this thing, and they were able to deliver. It's an amazing moment. I love watching that. You know, it's sport on an international scale, man.
All right, that is cool. I don't know why I'm being obstinate to that.
Well, I mean, I think that's a general team sport thing, right? I mean, if you're not in the team, it's the highest level of team sport glory. And if it's not something that you tend to gravitate towards, it's going to be a little harder to grasp on how amazing.
It isn't. Also because like I'm so busy most of the time. Like I don't have 2 hours to dedicate to watching a thing like every week. How often are sport games?
So that's actually another thing I actually really like about sport games that are played on soccer pitches is that it's completely up to you how much you want to commit. So what's really cool about soccer, in my opinion, is that every country has its own league, has its own thing going on, and its own teams to follow. And you can follow all of the different teams. You can follow all the different leagues. You can follow individuals, players. You can follow coaches. You can follow just international teams. You can do all of that stuff. So for example, a league that I follow more closely than others is the English Premier League. It's the go-to as the British one. It has the most money in it. It's the largest in the world. Manchester United, yeah. Man City and Arsenal. And Southampton.
Why do some teams get city names and some of them get good names, like Arsenal
or Wolves?
It's because Arsenal is one of like 6 teams in London.
Right. So that's the local thing that she was talking about before. What makes it really interesting is that you have this. So to me, this is the coolest part about soccer in general, as a sports fan, which is relegation and the idea of club teams. So basically, these are independent organizations that run teams of both sexes and all sizes and ages. They're just these. Basically, they're their own companies. The Man U is literally a publicly traded company, which is crazy. And what happens is, so if you're based in England, if you have a club in England, you can enter into league play, and if you win your league, you move up to the next level. Right, so you play against you play into a higher level league, right? So if you win, you will then play higher competition. If you win that league, you move up again. And you move up again. The top one's the Premier League. If you lose at any point, if you finish in the bottom 3 of the league, you move back down. Which is a huge deal. And so it's really fun to watch at the end of a season. Who's going to win? Who's going to pull it out? What's going to happen?
Who's going to be back next year?
And who at the very bottom of the league is going to be sent down. And that costs lots of money because you get less TV deals and players don't want to play for you and things like that. So it's a really really competitive and really interesting thing to watch.
If you think that it's tense watching people play to win a tournament, you should watch teams play to not get relegated.
To not lose.
To not get bumped down. That's intense.
How often does like that whole thing change up?
So the Premier League runs, I believe it's 30 weeks, so 30 games, and they play once a week with breaks for holiday and international and other stuff. So it's one time a week, which isn't too bad, in my humble opinion. It's Saturday mornings or Sunday mornings. So while you're doing your laundry, perhaps something like that. They're all.
You got to play
in the
soccer
same
while
place.
you're doing laundry.
You have to. It makes it more fun for me.
Well, that's why you can't use your hands. It's because your hands are for the laundry.
No, but how often do those leagues?
So they have a 30-game season, which is roughly 30 weeks. So that is almost half a year, so a little longer. Can't do math very well. 7 months. And then that would be the end of the season, and whoever is at the top of the league by the end of that would move down. And that's for the...
No, I get that. I'm asking how often do like the people in the Premier Leagues change?
Once a year.
That'd be once
every
a year.
year.
Sorry,
Every year it's different?
Yes. Well, every year it's the top, the bottom 3 league and the top 3 of the Championship League, which is the league below Premier League, comes up.
I get that, but I'm asking...
Once a year. Yeah.
Okay. Oh, wait. Oh, so no matter what...
Yeah.
Bottom 3 of Premier go down.
No matter what.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, and one of the like most annoying things that I think about like the NFL in America is that if a team is doing bad enough, it's in their interest to try to finish last because they get the first draft pick.
The tank. And there's a lot of owners who get a lot of crap from their fans because their entire goal is to make money. And in soccer, you make money by winning. You get to enter more tournaments. You get more fan views. You get all that stuff. In the NFL and in the NBA, they're shared business models. So if one team does well, the whole league does well, and they all pay into that.
Communists.
So there's no. It's amazing. It's the America is the least capital sports outlook in the entire world, and a lot of it has to do with geography and other stuff as well. But
I will say that is pretty interesting. Let me ask you this: who are your favorite teams?
At this point, I'm like the international soccer is my favorite thing to watch. The thing with favorite teams is that if you are an English person, you pick the team from where you're from.
Right.
If you're from America, you just got to pick something. You got to just make a choice and commit to it so that you have some skin in the game, because otherwise it's just not as fun. And my little brother arbitrarily chose to love Everton, this soccer team from Liverpool. It's from the Everton area in Liverpool. It's named after the neighborhood that it's from.
Right.
Because Tim Howard, the United States goalkeeper, played for them. And he is the best American soccer player. So he just picked the best American soccer player and liked the team that he played for. He just made that choice. So I latched onto that as well. And I also like Everton.
They're a fantastic team. They're like a mid-range Premier League team that have been there. And they're always kind of hovering between the middle and the top of the league, which is a lot of fun.
It's like being a Mets fan.
Yeah.
All right. Because I was raised really into baseball, and now I'm a very casual observer, is being way too generous.
Yeah.
When the Cubs won, I watched it, and I got why it was good. What about you, Joelson?
So on that note, actually, I'm actually, unfortunately, a fan of the evil empire, Manchester City, who is the second team in Manchester behind Man United in terms of popularity.
Gotcha.
I am a New York Mets fan, a Jets fan. So I tend to like the teams who are a little less popular in their cities. So I thought, oh, great, I'll root for Man City. And then that year that I really made that choice and hopped all in and was watching the games every week, they were bought by a huge conglomerate. Tons and tons of money was thrown at them. They partnered with the Yankees, and basically bought themselves a competitive team who are now competing at the highest level in there. So I backfired on my face a little bit, but I'm sticking with it. It's the team
you sold
I
out.
picked for. I did. And I'm also a season ticket holder and a big fan of New York City FC, who's the MLS team.
Meanwhile,
here in New York.
I would fall more in line with the New York Red Bulls, of course.
New Jersey Red Bulls, but that's fine.
Yeah, well, they have a stadium.
Wait.
Yeah, in New Jersey.
They've named the team is the New Jersey Red Bulls?
Yeah, this is actually really funny. So back when
I'm not laughing.
I think it's super funny that generally speaking, as background, Major League Soccer, the United States Domestic League, is not awesome. They don't have good players. It's kind of notorious as a place where, like, internationally awesome players go to retire and have and play 1 out of 5 games and spend the rest of the time just like kind of fucking around in America.
Yeah, having an anonymity and being able to be in a place without being mobbed by
nobody
people on the
fucking
street.
knows who you are if you play international soccer and you come to America. But they're constantly trying to do stuff to boost the amount of capital in the league and attract fans. And one of the things that happened was that the New York/New Jersey Metro Stars were sponsored by Red Bull and then named the Red Bulls, named after the corporate sponsor. They play in Red Bull Arena in Harrison, New Jersey, which is extremely upsetting. Mm-hmm. And then there's this other team. They were like, what would be really awesome for the league is a New York City rivalry. Let's make another New York City team that's not named after its embarrassing corporate sponsor, New York City Football Club. They will play in Yankee Stadium, and they will have better colors. And so I can't help like.
What are they called?
New York City Football Club.
Yeah.
So
That's a bad name.
Oh, so the thing.
It's better than Red Bulls, but
it's always an argument actually in the MLS, is because some teams try to emulate European teams like this Real Salt Lake, and then there's other names.
That's
that have,
hilarious,
yeah,
though.
right.
It's so funny.
And then there's other teams that have like really direct, like more U.S. names, like the Portland Timbers,
The Houston Dynamo.
Oh, that's a great name.
Yeah.
Chicago
the Chicago Fire.
Yeah.
That is inappropriate.
Yeah, that's
but
a good
I'm
one.
all for it.
The Chicago Fire is to me it's the funniest name for.
Can you guys explain to me about faking injuries?
Yeah,
like,
Aaron,
I know that
this is the worst part of the game.
Yeah.
It struck me as very melodramatic.
It sucks. I'm not gonna beat around the bush. I hate it.
Right.
I think it is a big. I think it's a problem in the game, to be frank, because.
Remind you that you are trying to convince me to like this.
Well, everything has flaws, though, Aaron.
nothing's perfect.
God, you just taught me a thing about life.
You're welcome. So in soccer, if somebody fouls you, your team will get possession of the ball, and depending on where the foul happened and the severity, you have the possibility of shooting directly at the goal or towards the goal to be, headed in or kicked in by one of your teammates, as we sort of saw. So if you are in a position where you think that it would be good for you to keep possession, you can kind of fake an injury and try and sell it. And the ref will have to make a judgment call, whether to play on or to say, I think that might have been a real foul, and award possession, stop play and let somebody take a free kick. And I would say, this wasn't huge in the game until, the mid-'80s or 90s where people started, really diving a lot.
What changed? Oh, sorry.
I had actually disagree. I think it's been in the game for a long time. It just people started noticing it in the 90s because TV coverage got better.
Replay, obviously.
Yeah, and a big part of that has to do with the stadiums that they play in, and most of these old places are built, a very long time ago. They're older stadiums that didn't have the best sight lines, and then they started updating them. Everyone saw how dirty the sport could be. I would actually argue that it's not about faking injuries so much as faking getting fouled. Right?
Yeah.
So that's a big problem, is that a lot of times you won't get the call if someone kind of bumps you from behind and you fall over like he just, hit you with an axe or something. You'll get the call. What he did was technically a foul, but if you just stumble forward a little bit, you're in a worse position, and the ref's not going to give you the call because you still have possession of the ball. So there's a weird time when it's appropriate to let everyone know that he's impeding the way that I'm playing, and if I have to fall over to show that I'm going to. But there is no line. There's no gray area. People do it all the time, and it's horribly, horribly frustrating, especially in situations where it looks like they could keep going and they can do it themselves.
But then they do it anyway.
Yeah, and they do it anyway. Exactly. It's not really affecting gameplay. Why are you going down like that? It's frustrating. It's a really hard part to watch of the game.
All right. Well, cerebrally, I think I understand a lot more of soccer, enough to carry on a conversation about it. That is hopefully being recorded and will be released. But now we're at the point where I don't care. I don't know if that's a sports thing or a soccer thing. So
I think that's a sports thing. I think that if you want to care about sports, you just honestly, you have to just pick. You have to decide. If you want to care about sports, you just have to decide to care about sports. It's it's a dumb and arbitrary thing. Because if you don't pick something to care about, there's no point to watching sports. Because sports, I think, are all, and soccer obviously falls into the category of sports. They are emotion.
Wait, what?
Yeah, they are emotion engines. They're a very simple type of theater. But you can't watch the narrative of a sports game unless you pick somebody to be the protagonist.
Well, okay, let's see if we can't.
We can give some examples if you want. I think that's some of the videos that we chose.
Yeah, let's go to a video.
So I'd just like to set up one, which is that
Sure.
I put on there, which is a goal from this year from Wayne Rooney. So in order to have context, you have to know that Wayne Rooney is one of the biggest, most popular footballers in England.
Mm-hmm.
He has been an international star for a really long time.
He looks like a talented cinder block.
Mm-hmm. and that recently grew hair.
Yeah.
And so he's a big name in there, and he's getting older now, so he's sort of falling out of favor. He's been on Man United for a really long time, which is relatively new. It's not that as common anymore in soccer because if you play well, they may be traded to a better team, or if you're not where you used to be in terms of your talent, you're older, they'll go somewhere else as well. So he's been there for a really long time, and there's been an argument this year about, is he playing too much? Is the coach using him? Man U in the context has been having its worst couple of years recently due to the leaving of their manager who was there for 30 years.
God damn.
This dude's
he's a legend.
He was
The manager or Wayne Rooney?
Both.
Huh.
The manager, this guy, Sir Alex Ferguson, was unrealistically good at soccer managing.
Well, yeah, you just called him Sir, so I'm assuming.
He's an actual Sir.
Yeah.
He got sirred by the Queen.
Coach.
But yeah, he just won everything all the time. He was like the backbone of this team and almost like a pillar that held up the league. Wow. I don't think I'm exaggerating in saying that the world of like English soccer has been in disarray since Sir Alex Ferguson retired, and people still don't really know what to do about it.
It's a lot less consistent. You don't know who's gonna. There's no clear powerhouses on a regular basis anymore. There are still the same teams at the top, but it's pretty arbitrary. Chelsea has almost the exact same team this year as they did last year. All they changed was their manager, and now
It's
they're
crazy,
in first. Yeah,
Aaron. It's
great.
wild.
It's great. But the point is this guy.
Wait, they changed their manager and now they're first?
Now they're in first place. Well, yeah.
What were they?
So last year they finished, I think, in 7th place or something
Holy shit.
like that.
It's very low for them.
Right. That's a separate part. I want to stick to because we have the video. I want to stick to the Wayne Rooney thing, which is that. So there's been a lot of conversation and talk about whether or not he should be playing. If he's playing too much, is he being used well? The team's not performing very well. And he's sitting at this number of 249 goals he'd scored for Man United. So 250 is kind of a big milestone. It means a lot. It becomes a top scorer for the team in history.
How long had it been since he got his 249th?
I think it's been a couple games because he hadn't been playing. So in this game, they're playing a team called Southampton, who they're supposed to beat. They're a lower-ranked team. They're not supposed to be as strong. You know, you have to win all the games in front of you and all that. And right now they're losing right now, 0-1. So when you hit play, you're coming into the last moments of the game. Wayne Rooney did not start this game. He was brought on as a substitute. The coach was like, okay, go out there, see what you can do. We know you're a little old. We give you, you're going to be fresh. Everyone out there's a little tired. See what happens. And then he's given this opportunity. And this is an example of like talent and like also like what emotion he brings to like what emotion. I'm not trying to explaining it very well.
Let's see it.
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, I mean he's got.
Wrong one.
That's okay.
I think this is an idea that I'm probably going to bring up again later, but soccer occupies real estate in people's hearts that.
Sure.
If they are going to save it, it has to be now. And it goes from Rooney!
That's Rooney?
Yep.
Yeah, the talented brick.
He looks like an ex-roommate of mine.
So again, the context for that is
That's a very short clip.
Yeah,
the context is that it's an incredible piece of skill where he hits a very small target, and it is big for him as personally, and it's huge for his club too because he's winning a game with that, or he's tying a game with that to get a point out of it.
Did they end up winning?
No, they ended up tying, which is still you get 1 point for tying, which is a lot better than losing to Southampton.
But yeah, it's as I was saying, like soccer. It has this real estate in people's hearts that it's like so personal. And if you are a fan of Manchester United, which millions of people in the world are, then Wayne Rooney, his success and his failures become for you something akin to the success and failures of a family member. So his hitting that milestone for people is like, it's a huge moment. It's like your cousin got married, it's big.
I would put it to it's sort of like characters that you follow in any show. That people have different opinions about them and can have conversations, but generally speaking, it's something that everyone has the same emotional. Like everyone has seen what happens. Yeah, you have your heroes.
All right. Well, let's try and get me into soccer. When it comes to sports or rooting for anybody, I tend to root for the underdog.
Oh, then we might want to watch my second clip.
Okay.
So as you're doing this, don't hit play until I'm finished setting the stage for this. So this is the final match of that World Cup that we watched the highlight clip for the semifinal from before. So this is the United States versus Japan in 2011. As you may recall, in 2011, Japan was hit by an incredibly bad earthquake and a tsunami. Their country is sort of still in tatters emotionally and economically. Japan is not traditionally a particularly competitive team in women's soccer. They just kind of decided, we're going to do this because our country needs something. And they have made it by a huge long shot to the Women's World Cup final against the United States, the biggest juggernaut of the sport ever to take the field. And so our story begins.
Okay.
So this is the type of like high-stakes international drama that we have the little children escorting players onto the field for whatever reason. I don't know why.
Do we know whose children those are?
No, they were found.
All right. Well, good to know they have a purpose.
But it's like, I would suggest, because of moments like this, if you want to start getting into soccer and you find it hard to arbitrarily bring yourself to care about something, watch some international games, because that's where these high-stakes, emotionally dramatic setups will come into play more often.
And blue is Japanese, white is American?
Yes.
Oh, America really is white.
Super white. So what you're also going to see in this one is a lot of missed goal opportunities, which are also very exciting. So, like...
Was that one just missed?
That's missed. Oh. Really close.
Oh, yeah.
That's part of that emotional...
Pia Sundhage, the coach. This is one of those games where it seemed like it could have been written. Like, here's Abby Wambach taking an amazing shot, which just dings off the crossbar. It's like someone who was like, Japan needs this one, you know? And there you go again, another lucky break for the underdog. And, you know, there's like a little bit of back and forth here, but... I don't know. It's like, on one hand, like watching highlights like this is kind of tough because you don't see the midfield build-up and things. But
Yeah. I'm seeing it as... I'm seeing the icing, but I didn't have any cake.
Right.
Oh, that was really close. It almost went in, but then it did not.
Yeah, so they're just like knocking on the door once again off of the post. This is a phrase that you would hear in soccer is like the scoreline does not affect the run, or does not reflect the run of play. The United States have been outplaying them, but they're not outscoring them, and that can happen because you can get your shit kicked in midfield for the whole game. If you don't score, you still lose, and sometimes it just takes this type of like a tenacious, outstanding individual performance, like the save that goalkeeper just made.
And that's something I really enjoy about international play over league play is that league play, you have a lot more games, and eventually in the long run, the better teams tend to do well. But in international play, they're mostly one-off games, and you have an opportunity. Anyone can win one game, and it makes it a lot of fun.
Yeah. So then USA puts one up. It's an awesome shot. It's like a clinical drill into the bottom corner. As expected of the United States in this position.
It's like as a U's fan, you're finally breathing a sigh of relief. Oh, thank God one went in. The longer one doesn't go in, the more you kind of get panicky about like, why can't they just score a goal? Come on.
But then, sometimes you get these like dumb, weird, inexplicable, scrappy breaks, like this one. A totally inexplicable defensive failure from the United States and a Japanese player who was right there.
And in the right place at the right time.
Because she just had like the emotional, mental tenacity to continue playing in the face of total adversity. And there's no way that she should be able to be there scoring that goal.
Yeah, and to take advantage of the situation. The U.S. had a ton of chances and couldn't score one. That was one chance right there. Was able to put it home.
Yeah, so they're headed into overtime right now. Getting stretched out by their personal attendants. Very exciting part of the game.
Not the children.
No.
Yeah, they're murdered after they bring them to the field.
I don't know why they do that thing with the children. So that's Wambach putting in another header. Of course, like, you know, it's a bit stereotypical, but the United States is a lot stronger in the air than Japan is just because they have taller players.
Yeah.
And that's like a thing.
Was that just the U.S. that scored or Japan?
So the U.S. is up right now 2-1, and Japan ties it up. Again. Exactly the way that the United States did in the end of that Brazil game.
Saves the game.
Hamarisawa, their captain, made it her project to do this. She's the force behind everything that's happened to this point. Like, we're gonna do it. We're gonna take on the United States. Our country needs this. Fukushima is leaking radiation into the ocean. I don't fucking care what it takes. We're gonna win the World Cup. It's impossible, but we're doing it anyway. And then she got to score a goal. It's like very exciting.
The game tournament saving.
And so now this is overtime with the penalty kicks?
Yep. This is the tie-breaking penalty kicks. Tobin Heath flinching. This is an entirely psychological game between the goalkeepers and the strikers. And in a sense, I always get the feeling in watching a penalty kick shootout that it has almost nothing to do with performance and everything to do with the narrative that people are part of. Like there is like a god of soccer, and all he can affect is shootouts. But he makes sure that the narrative arc resolves itself correctly via the penalty kick shootout. Like in that moment.
And then
everybody loses their fucking mind. There's no way this should have happened. It would be like somebody just showed up and beat Serena Williams. Or like, it's insane. This should not happen. But it does. And it happens more often than you might think.
So as much as skill comes into play, there is an element of luck.
Yeah. There's luck. There's like grit. There's a mental effort to it.
I think chance is a word as well as opposed to luck, because you're putting yourself in the situation, the best possible situation that you can to let that happen. So, and there's stories like that all the time. Like again, if we want to talk Premier League again, there's Leicester City coming back and winning,
swooping out of nowhere.
Yeah, right. Team that barely just moved up to that league, up to the Premier League, actually won it, playing with a slightly different styles, scored an unbelievable number of goals, and like won and blew people like they were, whatever it was, at 500-1 odds or whatever it was.
Mm-hmm.
Well, these statistics sound interesting, but not compelling. Like,
right.
I want to know.
So
I want to feel what you feel. I want that fire lit in me.
All right. So where Leicester City is right now, to me, is extremely interesting. It's something I really enjoy following. So Leicester City had this incredible season last season where they came back and they won.
One of those British teams?
They're one of the British leagues in the English Premier League. Now, there's this whole other thing that I don't want to get all the way into called the Champions League, where if you finish in the top level of any one of the major leagues in Europe or in the world in general, you go into this separate league of just champions. So the top three from Spain, from Germany, from Italy, from England, all play in a separate league from their Premier League. So they have the Premier League, and then during the week they play their championship, Champions League game.
Basically, there's a fuck ton of soccer out there, Aaron.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So there's the best teams in the world playing against each other in this league, like not just against the people in your country. And so this team, Leicester City, makes that. This year in the Premier League, Leicester City is doing terrible. They're kind of close to the bottom. They're near relegation. They're probably going to be okay. Their coach has changed all these tactics and made everything kind of different. People are complaining about the coach. There's news that their players are unhappy. They fire their coach.
Oh.
All right. They fired him 2 weeks ago, or last week and a half ago at this point. Right. The next game, they come out and
Eleanor just mouthed the word drama.
Yeah.
Which was both hilarious and not suitable for a podcast.
It's an Easter egg for people in the room.
So they fire this guy, and the next game they come against Liverpool, who is a powerhouse team, who's a good team.
I knew that.
And they beat them.
Yeah.
So they beat Liverpool last week, and stunning style. I think it was 2-0, and it was like they were definitely the better team, and they played really well. And it's a question as to, was the manager just too hard to them, packing too much in their brain? What was it? They had this miracle season, and then they fire this guy, and they come back. Now, it's really interesting because they're playing this week against Hull City, who's a lower level team, but who beat them in the first game of the season, who they've already lost to. So it's
redemption story,
right? So it's hopefully. So it's sort of are they really this team that they were last year? Are they better again? It's only been one game. It really can't be that simple. They're not all of a sudden all their problems are solved, and they're going to have a chance to prove it against a team who's already beaten them before, who plays a style that is hard for them to counter just in terms of the personnel. And on top of all of that, they're playing in the Champions League too, which they're surprisingly doing well in. They're squeaking by in this league of higher power and higher levels. And they actually have an opportunity to advance to the quarterfinals in that if they can win at home this Wednesday coming up, which is really exciting for me because they've changed their coach. They're changing around the way that they play a little bit. They're going back to their old style. They kind of look like themselves all in one game. And we're going to get 2 games back-to-back to find out if that's real, if that's a change, if it's going to be this great story continued, or if this is like
a fluke.
The fluke, the end. It really is over. Man, last year was just a fluke. I can't, they won once and now they can't do it again. And so it's sort of like a turning point for their season, which is really fun to watch. And also the coach that they have in there now, his name is Craig Shakespeare, which is the best name for any English Premier League coach ever.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable.
Williams' less successful younger brother who just sells auto parts.
And lived a really long time.
Yeah. He got the art. I got the genes.
Right. So
Don't ask me why I'm from Jersey. I'm Craig Shakespeare.
We're from Stratford upon Hudson.
Oh, the world's a stage. That's it.
Traffic in the tunnel.
And the point being is there's stories like that for every league, for every team, for every fan base in every country of the world going on. And if you can pick one that you care about to follow, it's fun, and you can get into it as deep as you want to learn about the tactics, or you can sit on the surface and just follow the wins and losses.
Well, I mean, when it comes to sport teams that I actually root for, like, I mean, I hadn't watched a Cubs game in ever-ish, but like I've also I knew that they were
watching them win the World Series was an
amazing.
incredible moment.
Yeah.
Like I watched too. For me, it's
I
stuff
teared
like
up
that.
a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like to get like a little bit philosophical about sports and like masculinity and
Please.
culture right now. I think that for a lot of men, especially American men, getting excited about sports is the only acceptable emotional outlet that you really have.
But as someone like me who is arguably too in touch with their emotions,
then go home. No, I'm kidding.
I plan on it. Yeah.
So I think people act this way, like sports is about like this like macho contest, and it's about proving.
Andrew shaking his head again, forgetting that this is a podcast format.
About like proving yourself, like dominating your opponent, about like memorizing statistics. But the reason that sports is not just a stupid, mindless activity is because there's this pride attached to it. There's this incredible emotional depth to it. One of the reasons that I think that soccer is one of the greatest sports in the world is because the emotional depth, just the legacy of the storylines, of the way that those storylines manifest during the game. Like the way that you can just see players arguing with each other, that they'll like, it comes out in the run of play. These just super intense emotions, the way that it just sort of can't in a game like American football or in baseball, where the play is so discrete and chunked out into like separate like plays where there's almost no continuity play to play. In soccer, it's just one big emotional heap, beginning to end. There's no getting away from it. And unlike in hockey, where people have an outlet where they're allowed to just fucking fight each other in the middle of the game, in soccer, you have to sort of keep it in. And it's why things like the penalty kick shootout aren't just like, people clinically being perfect. It's because they're like fucked up in the head after playing a whole game, because it's an emotional thing.
Well, it seems like to me, I guess my issue was with soccer as much as it is just following sports in general, because like it just sounds exhausting and time consuming. And
yeah, I'm gonna be honest, Aaron. Yeah. I haven't watched a non-international game in a really long time. I've just been really busy. So I still I keep up with the leagues and stuff. I'll like read about what's happening in the news, but I just don't have the time to sink into being like a real good fan anymore.
That's me with comic books right now. Like I'll read like, oh, that person died? Oof. Well, I wonder how they'll write their comeback. Like I move on. Like I have that quick emotional moment and then I move on because I don't have the time or the money to invest in.
I mean, have you, since that's sort of become a little bit regular, have you at any point kind of gone back and dipped in a little bit more than you thought, like a little bit more like the way you used to, and have you gotten back to that kind of rush like occasionally? Like
occasionally, yeah. I'll pick up like a graphic novel I loved, or I was thinking about let's get super nerdy with it for a second because we've talked sports for the last hour. My favorite Green Lantern, Kyle Rayner, for a while ago. One of my first moments really getting an affinity for comics was when he first became Ion and slowly became a basically a god, and Superman had to like pull him aside and go like, "Hey, man, as someone who's been there before, calm down. You're getting cults started." And like I've been trying to find the graphic novel where he and Superman have that talk, and where Kyle's like, "I can be everywhere at once. I'm a cartoonist. How do I deal with this?" So that's.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where like international play comes in, is because I just like I don't, I'm just tired all the time. I do a lot of stuff, but international play only comes up every so often. So like as Andrew mentioned before, 30 weeks out of the year, club play is happening. In the time between club play, that's when the bulk of international play happens. So it's only like 10, 15 weeks out of the year that you even have to think about it. And you get to latch your heart to your nation's team.
When does international play start up again?
So in earnest right now, it's
Yeah.
going to be over the summer, and they're going to be World Cup qualifying matches. As well as is there like a big international tournament happening this summer?
No, not as far as I'm aware. I believe it's the.
So it's just right now. It's qualifying games for the World Cup. The United States' next game is a must-win.
Honduras.
They have to.
Otherwise,
Yeah.
There's a real chance they won't make the World Cup.
is this male or female?
For the
male for the
men.
men for the ones who fuck up frequently.
Yes,
Gotcha.
for the ones who always are in that problem.
Yeah.
Sorry.
All right. Well, why'd you just apologize?
Oh, because we're bitter in our emotions and our
Oh.
views.
And yes, and for assuming by just saying the U.S. team and saying men's and assuming it was men's and not women's.
Yeah.
That's what
You
I was apologizing.
sexist.
Yeah, man.
All right. Well, if we started out with me as a 5, I understand a bit more, but my emotions are just not there. So I'd say I'm at a 4.
Ugh.
We were ineffective.
Damn.
Ah, dang.
But you have intrigued me. So maybe when the international starts back up, we can get together and do another episode and like watch a game and see if I can't tap into that right then and there. Maybe record while we're watching and then get sued for rebroadcasting.
I will say it is a little bit like saying to a person who's never eaten before, convince me to like food. Like,
I mean, I have seen some soccer and I played it before, and I've always chosen to be goalie because I don't like running. But like, it's, and also I've got hands. Why am I not going to use them? Like, I just they're
That's true.
better than my legs.
I feel like that's an argument for most sports in general. Why are the rules the rules? And as she was saying, it's sort of
Yeah.
an arbitrary thing that you can channel energy, skill, and emotion into, which is what makes it so much fun. It's an agreed upon thing that anybody you meet in the world who has experience with it, you can communicate with them. And that's something
That's true. Like, yeah.
Something we didn't really talk about is that I played a lot, and when I play here, you play with complete strangers often in parks in New York City. It's a lot of fun, and you kind of instantly have a bond with people on some level with when you play with them. You can tell how competitive they are, if they care about it more than you do, or playing the right level, people who are taking it way too seriously and trying to hurt people and doing terrible things. But when you're playing it with the people who you feel comfortable with, it doesn't take very much to instantly feel like, oh, no, you get it. We get it. We play it the same way, and it's a lot of fun.
At one of my jobs, the one I was working at today during lunch, like I sat down, I was talking with a buddy of mine, and I say buddy, a guy I don't know at all, but we've said like hey to each other, and then we just came across the topic of anime, and all of a sudden we were having a conversation, and we were making like little jokes about like at one point I was just like, I'm just looking for something with as like the level of the quality of action that Fate Zero has, and he goes, good luck. And like we both had a good laugh, and unless you know what the fuck we're talking about, it's okay. So yeah, it's a bonding thing. It's
And it happens on two levels too, right? Because it's the fandom of it as well, which is really fun because people like certain players or certain coaches or narratives within teams, like the coaching line with
or
Lester.
hate certain fandom.
Or hate certain
and
things.
that's fun too.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun.
Fuck Cristiano Ronaldo.
Absolutely.
Yeah, fuck Cristiano
Yeah, that
Ronaldo.
manscaped bastard. Yeah, he's
that absolutely beautiful man.
He's-
He's extremely good at the sport, who I
he's
dislike because he
so-
beat our team.
He's so beautiful.
Let's
but-
look up Cristiano.
Yeah,
Ronaldo.
This is also it's like a funny thing of like the two sort of best players or best known players in the world are Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. Cristiano Ronaldo being like a 6 foot tall sculpted like Adonis man, and Lionel Messi being like a short, funny looking Argentinian dude.
Like
Holy
5 foot-
shit.
5'5".
This
short.
guy is perfect.
Cristiano, and he's looked that way for about 15 years.
And one of the I typed in Cristiano Ronaldo into I typed in Cristiano into Google, and one of the top results was Cristiano Ronaldo wife.
Yes, this is a fun thing that he did where he impregnated a woman and tried to buy the baby off of her so that he could have a child.
Good times.
It's a weird man.
But they are married now, or no? Oh well, yeah. She's like foreign Megan Fox. Well, all right.
What were we talking about?
It's okay. We're at a 4.
Okay.
But that is no fault of soccer's. That is
Our fault.
Our fault entirely.
no. That is my fault for not being open to sports the same way. I mean, you dress them all like Green Lanterns versus Captain Americas. I'm fucking in. But I mean, it just I don't know. Sports for some reason it doesn't grab me.
Well, then maybe that is because you don't have trouble like letting yourself emotionally connect to works of fiction.
Yeah, I prefer it.
Yeah, I mean, like I think am in the opposite camp where I really like reading fiction, but I don't tend to connect as strongly emotionally.
Really?
Yeah, where like
Because you and I have talked a lot of like sci-fi and all that nerdy
yeah,
stuff.
and like I get really excited about it. I get amped, and I get really I get into it. But a lot of times I feel like emotionally I'm sort of at arm's length from it. But for some reason, if I'm watching a sports game, and particularly if I'm watching a sports movie, it just grabs me. It hauls me to a place, and it's part of the I'm like for a woman in America, I present and act in a fairly masculine way, and I think it's because I have that like internalized thing that the appropriate time to feel is when you're watching a sports game. It's like I think I have that, so maybe it's that like opposites.
Maybe, but that's really interesting to me. The emotional involvement. Okay, well, I'm going to ponder on that, and while I do that, Andrew, do you have anything you'd like to plug?
In about 25 minutes, I will be performing with my team Supermodel UN in the Armory at the Tank.
When is the next time that's going up? Because this will probably come up in like a couple of weeks.
Oh, you guys don't have 3-minute turnaround time?
No.
This isn't live? What's my mom listening to?
That's a terrifying prospect.
Should probably listen to the last episode you were on.
That's true, Harry Potter. So the shows are regularly 9:30 Friday. It's Times Square area. Just Google it up, The Tank or The Armory. It's a ton of fun. Come check it out. And also, if you want to follow me on Twitter, where I don't tweet, I'm at that Joelson. So.
I like that name a lot. Eleanor, how about you? Anything to plug?
Yeah, sure. As always, you can catch Sexy Baby, Magnet Theater improv team, every Wednesday at the Magnet Theater, 254 West 29th Street, Manhattan, New York.
Zip code?
Zip code? I'm pretty sure it's like I think it's 10001, because it's across the street from Grand Central Station, which is like the place.
Penn Station.
10001 is correct.
Oh.
Awesome. Well, Grand
Thanks,
Central
Grant.
Station is the post office.
Grant Central Station.
That's a different place. It's much
Grand
more
Central
fun.
Terminal has trains. Grand Central Station has mail. So it's 10001.
I don't know anything about my own fucking city.
Yeah, Sexy Baby. Check it out. Really funny stuff. Big fan. And also on March 13th is a show, another improv show that I'm directing, also at the Magna Theater, called Hero.
Oh, yeah.
Which is, it sort of takes the idea that a superhero, like, for example, Batman, has many iterations over many, many years. He's been many different types of person, but is still, nonetheless, always Batman, and sort of giving that treatment to an improvised superhero over the course of an hour.
Now that sounds right up my alley.
Yeah, it's at 7:30 on Sunday, March 13th, I believe. It might be March 12th, whichever one's the Sunday.
How about Twitter, Instagram?
Twitter, you can follow me at Bronus Salk, BRONASSALK. I cured Brolio. And that's me. That's my social media presence.
Awesome. Let's see, I would like to plug, as always, the show that Grant and I run, You Are Not Alone, an uplifting show about depression, no longer the last Friday of every month. Our next one will be Monday, March 27th at 10:30? 10:30, Grant?
I think so.
Yeah, probably. Go to magnettheater.com and find us there. Also, if you've got a soccer-related thing that you think could really light my fire, or something that I haven't considered, you can email us at don'tmindpodcast@gmail.com, or reach out to us on Twitter and Instagram at don'tmindpodcast. Or you can just hit me up directly at, hey, it's Aaron Gold on Twitter and Instagram, not Facebook. If you add me on Facebook, I'm not going to accept it. I don't know who you are. Don't be weird. All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for joining us. So I've been changing the sign-off for the podcast ever since the new year started. I'm not happy with the last one, but I think I found one that I really like this time. So, Grant, thank you so much. And as always, keep on mindin'. But keep is spelled with a C.
What?